Have you ever wondered why some men seem to have a natural magnetism while you struggle to even get a second date? Why certain people radiate a confidence that draws everyone around them like a powerful magnet? I'm going to tell you a secret few have the guts to admit. Seduction isn't about cheap tricks or canned lines. It's about awakening something that already exists within you but has been buried under layers of fear, insecurity, and social conditioning. Today you're going to discover the 4 fundamental pillars that transform average guys into irresistible magnetic presences. And the best part? You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. In fact, it's the exact opposite. First, let's talk about the most misunderstood pillar of all: radical authenticity. Yes, I know. You've heard it 1,000 times. Be yourself. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly were yourself? No masks, no characters, no trying to impress. Most men spend their entire lives playing a role they think women want to see. The funny guy, the successful one, the bad boy, sensitive type. But what happens? They notice. They always do. Female subconscious is a finely tuned incongruity detector. When you try to be someone you're not, your body betrays you. Micro-expressions, tense shoulders, a forced voice, it all screams fake. And fakeness is the biggest repellent there is. Here's the paradox. Being authentic doesn't mean dumping all your insecurities on a first date. It's not about sharing your history of rejections or childhood traumas before you even know her name. Authenticity is about being at peace with who you are. It's about having the courage to show your strengths without arrogance and your vulnerabilities without victimhood. The difference between saying, "I'm working on improving my financial situation," and "Sorry, I'm a loser." See the difference? One is honest and shows direction. The other is self-deprecation disguised as humility. I'll tell you a true story. A client of mine, let's call him Charles, dreaded talking about his job. He was a sales associate at an electronics store. He thought it made him less attractive. So he'd make up stories. He'd say he was between jobs, that he was a consultant, anything but the truth. And every conversation was a minefield. He had to remember the lies. He had to keep up the facade. The energy he spent maintaining that fantasy was the same energy he should have been using to create real connection. When I finally convinced him to be honest, something magical happened. He started talking passionately about tech, about how he helped people find the perfect solution for their needs, about his plans to open his own store. The shift was instant. Women started responding not to his job title, but to his passion, direction, to his authenticity. But wait. Before I continue, if you're finding this useful, hit that like button now. Helps the channel and shows me you're committed to your transformation. Because what's coming next is even more powerful. Second pillar, magnetic presence. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like a specific person dominated the space? That's magnetic presence in action. No, it has nothing to do with physical appearance. I know guys who look like models but disappear in a crowd. And I know others who wouldn't stand out in a photo, but in person are impossible to ignore. The difference? Presence. And presence starts with one simple thing that 90% of men fail at miserably: being truly present. How many times are you in a conversation but your mind is somewhere else, thinking about what you'll say next, worried about the impression you're making, mentally checking your phone, planning your next pickup line? Meanwhile, she's right there, talking, sharing, opening up, and you're missing everything. Magnetic presence is about creating a vacuum of attention. When you're with her, nothing else exists. Your phone might ring, other people might walk by. Your eyes, your attention, your energy are completely focused on her. This creates a bubble, an intimate space even in a crowded bar. And within that bubble, the magic happens. Presence goes beyond attention. It's about how you occupy space. Insecure men try to make themselves small, slumped shoulders, quick, nervous movements, a low, hesitant voice. Arrogant men try to take up all the space, exaggerated gestures, too loud a voice, invading personal space. Magnetic presence is in the middle ground, occupying your space naturally. Calm, deliberate movements, a clear, modulated voice, upright yet relaxed posture. The difference between trying to impress and simply being impressive. Let me give you a practical exercise. Over the next 3 days, in every social interaction, practice the 3-second rule. Before responding to anything, breathe and count mentally to 3. This does 2 powerful things. First, It forces you to truly listen to what's being said. Second, it creates a natural tension that amplifies your presence. Try it. You'll be surprised by the impact. Third pillar, and this is what separates the amateurs from the masters: calibrated emotional tension. Most men dread tension. Any silence needs to be filled. Any intense moment needs to be broken with a joke. Any deep gaze needs to be averted. And that's how they kill all possibility of real chemistry. Tension isn't discomfort. Tension is electricity. What transforms a pleasant conversation into an unforgettable moment. What makes hearts race, pupils dilate, breathing change. But pay attention. Poorly calibrated tension turns into creepiness. It's the difference between a gaze that communicates interest and a gaze that communicates desperation, between a touch that electrifies and a touch that invades. The key is natural progression and reading signals. You start with light tension, a gaze that lasts a second longer than socially expected, a smile that suggests more than it says, a subtle double entendre. If she responds, you escalate. If she pulls back, you ease up. A fatal mistake I see constantly. Guys who go from 0 to 100 in seconds. They've known a woman for 5 minutes and are already declaring eternal love, or worse, making explicit sexual comments. That's not tension. Pressure pushes away. Tension attracts. Think of tension as a dance. You take a step forward, she responds. You move closer, pull back, move closer again. Each movement building on the last. Each moment heightening anticipation. That's why the best first kisses happen when both people already know it's going to happen, but tension has reached its peak. The kiss is just the natural release of that accumulated energy. I'll share a powerful technique, the emotional contrast technique. It works like this. You create a moment of intensity, maybe a sincere, deep compliment, maybe a moment of shared vulnerability. Then, before it gets too heavy, you lighten it up. A funny observation, a change of subject. This creates an emotional roller coaster that's literally addictive. He never knows what to expect. Every interaction is an adventure, and adventures are irresistible. If you're enjoying this content, comment below which of these pillars you find most challenging. I want to know where you're getting stuck so I can create even more targeted content. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon. There's a lot more coming. Fourth and final pillar, the most important of all, unwavering purpose. Let me be brutally honest with you. If your life revolves around getting women, you've already lost the game. Women aren't attracted to men who put them on pedestals. They're attracted to men who have a mission, a direction, a purpose that goes beyond relationships. This doesn't mean being a workaholic or ignoring human connections. It means having something you wake up motivated for every morning that doesn't depend on external validation. When you have purpose, everything changes. Your posture changes, your gaze changes, your energy changes. You stop being the guy who needs a girlfriend to be happy and become the guy who's building an incredible life and is open to sharing it with someone special. Notice the energetic difference? One is disguised neediness, the other is genuine abundance, and abundance attracts abundance. But here's the secret few understand. Purpose doesn't have to be grandiose. You don't have to be saving the world or building the next billion-dollar empire. Purpose can be mastering a skill, creating something beautiful, helping your community, overcoming a personal challenge. The important thing is that it's yours, that it's authentic, that it's something that drives you regardless of who is or isn't by your side. I'll tell you about another client. Paul, a successful lawyer, owned his own condo, drove a brand new car, on paper, the perfect catch. In practice, invisible. You know why? Because all of it was empty. He hated his job. He had no hobbies, no passions. His life was a checklist of what he thought he should have to attract women. When we started working together, I discovered he always wanted to learn wood. Thought it was ridiculous, an old man's hobby. But I insisted. 6 months later, he was creating incredible pieces, posting the process online, selling them to friends. The change? Dramatic. He had a sparkle in his eyes, stories to tell, passion to share. The same women who previously didn't even notice him now wanted to know more about the lawyer who created art with his own hands. Now let me connect all these pillars for you. Authenticity gives you the solid foundation. You know who you are and you're at peace with it. Magnetic presence amplifies that authenticity. You're not just real, you're impossibly real, possible to ignore. Calibrated emotional tension transforms presence into chemistry. You're not just noticed, you're desired, and unwavering purpose sustains all of it. You're not just desired, you're respected, admired, seen as someone worth building something real with. But here's the most important warning. None of this works if you try to use it as a technique. If you try to fake authenticity, force presence, manufacture tension, simulate purpose. The feminine universe, as I said, is a master at detecting incongruities. The only way to make this work is to truly do the internal work, to truly become that man. And yes, it's hard work. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it will require you to face your inner demons. But the alternative is to continue in the same cycle, trying techniques, failing, blaming women, blaming society, blaming everything but the one thing you have control over, yourself. So here's my final challenge for you. Choose one pillar, just one. The one that resonated most, the one you know deep down you need to work on, and the next 30 days, focus solely on it. If it's authenticity, practice telling the truth even when it's uncomfortable. If it's presence, practice being completely present in every interaction. If it's tension, practice creating and sustaining moments of emotional intensity. If it's purpose, start building something that's just yours. Document your journey. Notice the changes. Not just in your interactions with women, but in how you feel about yourself. Because in the end, seduction isn't about conquering other people. It's about conquering the best version of yourself. When you do that, when you truly become the man you were destined to be, attraction stops being something you do and becomes something. But let me tell you something no one talks about regarding this. Transformation isn't linear. You'll have days where you feel invincible, days where every interaction flows naturally, where you feel that magnetic energy flowing through every pore. And you'll have days where you question everything, where you fall back into old patterns, where you feel like nothing has changed. That's normal. More than normal, it's expected. Real transformation isn't an event, it's a process. And processes have ups and downs. What separates men who truly transform from those who give up isn't natural talent, not luck. It's not looks. It's intelligent persistence. It's the ability to learn from every interaction, to adjust, to evolve, to not let a no destroy your progress, to not let a yes inflate your ego to the point of stopping your growth. It's maintaining the balance between confidence and humility, between certainty and curiosity, between strength and flexibility. And here's another powerful secret. Your environment matters a lot. If you're surrounded by men who treat women like conquests, who see relationships as power games, who measure success by the number of matches on a dating app, you're sabotaging your own growth. Energy is contagious. Mindset is contagious. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So choose wisely. Seek out men who are on the same growth journey, who celebrate evolution, not just empty conquests, who understand that the real prize isn't getting any woman. It's becoming the man who naturally attracts the kind of woman you truly want to build something meaningful with. Speaking of building something meaningful, let me destroy another toxic myth. This idea that alpha males don't get attached, don't show feelings, don't allow themselves to be vulnerable. That's not strength, that's armor. And armor, no matter how shiny, prevents real connection. A truly magnetic man understands that selective vulnerability is a superpower. Not about crying on a first date and recounting your traumas. It's about having the courage to admit when something affects you, to express what you truly feel, to not be afraid to say, "I like you," when you genuinely do. To not play childish games like who texts first or who shows less interest, but pay attention to the keyword, selective. Vulnerability without discernment turns into drama. It becomes a burden. It turns into that guy who uses relationships as free therapy. The difference lies in timing and context. It's about sharing from a place of strength, not neediness. It's saying, "I went through this and learned that," instead of, "I went through this and I'm still broken." See? One invites connection, the other asks for rescue. And incredible women want partners, not charity projects. Another crucial aspect I need to healthy masculine sexuality. We live in a strange era. On one hand, the hypersexualization of everything. On the other, the demonization of male desire. Men who no longer know how to express sexual interest in a healthy way. They're either too aggressive or too asexual. Either extreme works. Healthy male sexuality is about presence, not pressure. It's about creating the context where mutual desire can naturally blossom. It's about leading with confidence but always respecting boundaries. Understanding that no means no, but also understanding that hesitation often means I need more comfort or connection first. Leads me to a fundamental point about masculine leadership. Leading isn't about bossing around, not about imposing. It's not about deciding everything alone. Leading is about creating safety. It's about taking initiative. It's about taking responsibility. It's about having a plan but being flexible enough to adjust it. Saying, let's grab dinner at that new Italian place instead of, where do you want to go? But it's also noticing when she has a strong preference and respecting it. The balance between direction and collaboration. Let me expand on this with a practical example that completely changed my perspective. Years ago, I was dating an amazing woman, a doctor, independent, strong, and I, in my ignorance, thought I needed to prove I was stronger, more decisive, more in control. Every date was a subtle ego battle, decided everything, ignored her suggestions, treated her opinions as secondary. You know what happened? She broke up with me. And in our final conversation, she said something that profoundly stuck with me. I'm not looking for someone to decide for me. I'm looking for someone strong enough to decide with me. A punch to the gut. It was the punch I needed. Healthy masculine leadership isn't about dominating. It's about facilitating. It's about creating the space where both of you can shine. It's having the confidence to propose without the need to impose. It's understanding that a strong woman by your side doesn't diminish your masculinity, it amplifies it. Because only a truly secure man can be with a woman who doesn't need him to survive, but chooses him to thrive together. And here's a truth that goes against everything mainstream culture preaches. The most incredible, interesting, and accomplished women aren't looking for a savior. They're not looking for a father. They're not looking for someone to complete them. They're looking for a partner, an equal, someone who brings as much to the table as they do, someone who challenges them to grow, not someone who diminishes them to feel big. And that kind of woman, she has an impeccable radar for detecting insecurity disguised as dominance. Now let's talk about something practical. Magnetic communication. Because you can have all the internal pillars aligned, but if your communication is poor, you're wasting your potential. Magnetic communication starts with something simple. Speaking from your gut, not your head. Most men speak from the wrong place. They speak from their brain. Calculated responses, measured words, rehearsed phrases. The result? Conversations that feel like job interviews. Zero emotion, zero connection, zero chemistry. When you speak from your gut, from your core, your voice changes. It becomes deeper, more resonant, more authentic. Your words carry emotion. Your stories come alive. You stop thinking about what to say and start expressing what you feel. And that's magnetic. Because emotion generates emotion, energy generates energy. When you allow yourself to feel as you speak, she allows herself to feel as she listens. And it's in that space of shared emotion that true connection happens. But communication goes beyond words. In fact, words are the smallest part. Tone of voice, pacing, pauses, eye contact, facial expressions, body language, all of this communicates far more than the content of what you say. You can say the right words with the wrong energy and kill any attraction. Or you can say something completely mundane with the right energy and create sparks. The key is congruence. Your words, your tone, your body. They all need to be aligned. They all need to be telling the same story. What story is that? The story of a man who knows his worth but doesn't need to prove it. Who's interested but not desperate. Who's present but has a life beyond that moment. Who's sexual but respectful. Who's strong but doesn't need to diminish anyone to feel big. That's the story your communication needs to tell. Not with words, with presence, with energy, with the totality of who you are. Let me give you another transformative exercise. For the next 7 days, record yourself telling stories. It can be on your phone, it can be any story. The important thing is to listen back. Pay attention to your energy. Do you sound enthusiastic or bored, confident or hesitant, present or scattered? Judge. Just observe. Then, each day, tell the same story with a little more energy, a little more presence, a little more emotion. At the end of the week, compare the first audio to the last. Difference will shock you. Now, an important warning about the modern dating world. Dating apps, social media, text messages. All of this has created a generation of men who know how to type, but don't know how to talk, who are brave behind a screen, but freeze up in person, who confuse matches with real connections. Technology is a tool, not a crutch. Use it to facilitate real-life encounters, not to replace them. The real magic happens in person, eye to eye, in shared energy, in the chemistry you can feel in the air. And speaking of chemistry, let's demystify that too. Chemistry isn't magic. It's not destiny. It's not something that just happens or doesn't happen. Chemistry is created. It's cultivated. It's the result of presence plus tension plus authenticity plus correct timing. When you master these elements, you can create chemistry with far more women than you imagine. Not with all of them, of course. Real compatibility matters, but much of what men call a lack of chemistry is simply a lack of skill in creating it. And this leads me to the last crucial point: standards. Most men operate from a place of scarcity. They accept any crumb of attention. They fall for any woman who shows interest. They ignore obvious red flags. They tolerate disrespect, all out of fear of being alone. That's not love. That's desperation. And desperation repels exactly the kind of woman you truly want to attract. High-value women want high-value men, and high-value men have standards, not arrogance. Standards. Knowing what you want and what you won't accept. Having clarity about your non-negotiable values. Being willing to say no to the wrong things to make space for the right ones. This doesn't mean creating an impossible list of demands. It means knowing how to distinguish between preferences and needs, between what's negotiable and what's fundamental, between superficial attraction and deep compatibility. When you operate from that place of clarity and abundance, something magical happens. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop settling and start choosing. But here's the final paradox. The less you need a relationship, the more ready you are for one. The more complete you feel on your own, the more you have to offer in partnership. The more you focus on becoming the right man, the easier it becomes to find the right woman. Because in the end, extraordinary relationships are about finding someone to complete you. They're about two complete people choosing to share their already full lives. They're about multiplication, not addition. They're about creating something together that neither of you could create alone. So here's my final message to you. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop searching for the magic technique. Stop blaming the world for your results. Start the real journey. The journey inward. The journey of becoming the man you were born to be. Yes, it's harder than memorizing pickup lines. Yes, it takes longer than buying a seduction course. Yes, it's more challenging than blaming modern women or society. But it's the only journey truly worth taking. The only one that leads to lasting results. The only one that transforms not just your interactions with women, but your entire life experience. And let me be even more specific about how to start this journey today. First practical step. Tonight, before you go to sleep, write down 3 genuine qualities about yourself. Not what you think you should be, what you are. It could be your dedication to your work. It could be your quirky sense of humor. It could be your cooking skills. It doesn't matter if they seem mundane. The important thing is that they're true. Tomorrow, find a way to express each of those qualities. At work, with friends, in casual interactions. Start letting your authentic self breathe. Second step, identify an area of your life where you've been pretending or hiding something. We all have them. It could be a hobby you find embarrassing, an insecurity you mask with arrogance, a dream you buried for fear of judgment. This week, share that with someone. It doesn't have to be a woman you want to impress. It could be a friend, a family member. The important thing is to practice vulnerability in a safe environment. Feel what it's like to take off the mask. Notice that the world doesn't end, that people in fact connect more with you when you're real. Third step, start investing in something that has nothing to do with getting women. A personal project, a new skill, a cause that moves you. Something you'd do even if you knew you'd be single for the rest of your life. Because ironically, it's when you stop living to impress others that you become truly impressive. It's when you stop chasing validation that you become validated internally. And an internally validated man, he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. And that, my friend, is irresistibly attractive. Fourth step, surround yourself with men who are on the same journey. I'm not talking about pickup artist groups where guys share manipulative techniques. I'm talking about men committed to real growth, who talk about their fears and not just their conquests. You celebrate internal evolution and not just external results. You understand that becoming a better man is a collaborative process, not a competitive one. You don't know men like that. Be the first. Start those conversations. Create that space. Lead by example. Finally, the most important step. Commit to the process, not the outcome. Because the great irony is this: when you obsessively focus on getting women, push them away. When you focus on becoming the best man possible, they appear naturally, not as a prize, as a natural consequence of who you've become, as external recognition of the internal work you've done. And when they appear that way, they're not just attracted to what you appear to be, they're attracted to who you truly are. And that creates connections that last, relationships that matter, experiences that transform. So, my final invitation is this: stop watching videos looking for the magic answer. Stop consuming content expecting knowledge without action to generate transformation. Stop putting off the real work with the excuse that you need to learn one more technique, one more strategy, one more approach. You already know enough. What's missing isn't information, it's implementation. It's not theory, it's practice. It's not one more video. It's the first real step toward the man you know you can be. Is the journey long? Yes. Is it challenging? Will there be moments of doubt, setbacks, questioning? Absolutely. But every step in that direction, no matter how small, brings you closer to a life where attraction isn't something you do, but something you are. Where deep connections aren't rare, but natural. Where you don't need to impress anyone because your simple presence is already impressive. Where you finally understand that the secret was never about getting women. It was always about conquering yourself. Remember, you don't need more techniques. You don't need more theories. You don't need more excuses. You need action, courage, commitment to your own evolution. The magnetic man you want to be already exists within you. He's just waiting for you to have the courage to let him emerge. The question is, are you ready for it? If you are, if you truly are, then your journey of transformation begins now. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when you feel ready. Now, this very moment. The choice, as always, is yours.